Hello and welcome to another evening of frank conversation here on Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. I am Terry Ikumi. The 19th of September is inching closer, and against all odds, politics is heating up in Edo State, where political juggernauts will be slugging it out to see who eventually becomes governor of the state. Now, these elections hold a paradox of sorts, as candidates of the two major parties have swapped parties. Governor Godwin Obaseki, who won his mandate on the platform of the All Progressives Congress (APC) in the last election, is now the candidate of the leading opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP), while Pastor Izeyamu, the candidate of the PDP in the last polls, is now the flag bearer of the APC. All these changes happening within the last 6 months. Now, there are those who say that these elections will not be about the manifesto that either of the political parties present, but about the integrity of their platforms as political parties. But is that something that the parties care about, or is it all about power for the sake of it? Our guest tonight is the chairman of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State, Honorable Anthony Aziegbemi. Honorable, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you for having me, and good evening.
And before we go into the politics of the politics, if I may use it that way, let's talk about what's happening in Edo State as regards the State Assembly crisis. You're a former lawmaker. You're a two-term member of the House of Representatives. What do you make of what's happening in the Edo State House of Assembly?
What happened yesterday at the House of Assembly is clearly an attempt. It's clearly an attempt, a co-attempt. Let's use the right words for this now. A co-attempt against the democracy in Edo State. You cannot muzzle out the legislature and still expect to have democracy. As it is, you cannot be a senior prefect of a school if you are not a student of that school. 14 members elect seats were declared vacant by the Speaker of the House of Assembly. Nobody, no higher court has set aside that decision. So as we speak, those 14 members that did what they did yesterday is clearly against the law. It's clearly against the judgment of the courts. And as a party, as a law-abiding party, we'll make sure we go through the processes. We'll go through the courts, because clearly that is where our power lies now on this issue.
You're a former member of the House of Representatives. I just want to draw your attention to the fact that the National Assembly had waded into this matter and had concluded or presented, or the committee that was set up to look into this matter had presented a report as lawmakers faulting the decision of the state government not to recognize or not to swear in the other members.
I was a member of the National Assembly, a member of the House of Representatives. I know what the law says. Whatever with due respect to the National Assembly, whatever decisions they reached is supposed to be an advice. It's advisory. It is not a law. The High Court has given judgment that the governor was right to issue a proclamation, that there's a speaker in the House of Assembly. That is a judgment of the High Court. Nobody has set that judgment aside. So whatever the National Assembly was doing, that's fair, that's good enough, but that is not law. So until that judgment is set aside by the High Court, the Speaker of the House of Assembly, as we speak, is Honorable Francis Okiye. Whoever is parading himself as the Speaker as we speak is going against the judgment of the High Court. That's what I'm saying.
Some will say that the governor isn't playing fair. In fact, that your political party, the PDP, is interesting that we associate the governor with your party now, because a few days earlier, the deputy speaker had jumped ship and he was impeached. It would almost suggest that your party is not lenient to or tolerant of dissenting voices, if I may put it that way.
No, I mean, if anything, I think our party is the most tolerant party. We normally don't throw bombs at each other's houses. Well, we normally don't go after each other's throats. We tolerate all shades of opinion within the party, as long as it is done within the ambits of the constitution of the party. If you jump ship as a deputy speaker, you would expect that the House is within its rights to have you impeached, and that's what they did. And just to get this very clear, as we speak, there are 10 honorable members of Edo State House of Assembly, according to the judgment of the High Court. It's not me. It's not the National Assembly that will tell us that. The High Court has taken that decision. Until you vacate that decision, anything you do outside those 10 members is null and void.
Oh, you're a very loyal member of the party from what we gather. You have stayed with the party through thick and thin, if I may say so myself. What do you make of defections? It seems like it's almost as though when it favors your party, it is okay. If it doesn't favor your party, it's not. What do you make of defections?
As a party, we respect the rights of individuals to take decisions that they didn't fit, suits their interests, suits their purposes. That is fine. I don't have any problems with that at all. But when you take that decision to defect, and the party has a right, reserves the right to either impeach you as a deputy speaker, expel you, suspend you, that is within the ambit of the party to do. So if you, as we respect your right to defect, I expect that you respect our rights as a party to deal with you the way we deem fit.
All right, let's go into the politics of the Edo politics proper now. We can't help but notice that rallies and campaigns have started, but I think one of the things that worrisome to a lot of people is the breach of the COVID-19 protocols as far as these campaigns are concerned. We've seen rallies organized by your party where people have showed up in their numbers without observing the physical distancing protocol. We've also seen people moving about without masks. We can't help but also observe that there was one of the, when you went to Esako East, the governor did appeal to them to wear their masks. But going forward, how's your party going to handle campaigns and rallies to at least cut down on the number of cases that may arise? Remember that Edo State is number 4 on confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the country.
It's a major concern. I'll be the first to admit that it is a major concern for us as a party. The governor has been very clear on this. If you've noticed, you will see that we restricted the number of people that will join the governor on these campaigns. If you are not from that senatorial district, if you are not from that local government, we pleaded with our leaders to please stay behind and wait for the governor when it comes to their wards or to their senatorial districts. So as a party, we've done all what we could do now to make sure that the protocols are not breached, are not broken. However, the enthusiasm, the happiness on the faces of these people that where the governor visits, it's difficult to hold these people back. They are coming out in air mass to see their wait-and-see governor. The enthusiasm, the support is so massive, it's so great.
Speaking of enthusiasm and support, I'd like to remind you that the candidate of All Progressives Congress was your candidate in 2016, and he was well marketed by you, by your party. How do you plan to demarket somebody like that now?
That's our job, to demarket him, because he's not our opponent. But thankfully, we have somebody who is a major marketer for us, though we are not paying him for doing that. That is the former chairman of the APC. He's done a great job for us in 2016. So what we're trying to do is play back some of those tapes that he had, the things he said about his candidate now, and that is a major marketing tool for us to use, and we are using it. But apart from that,
at the time when he was downplaying your candidate, you supported. You didn't think that his allegations were weighty enough to collapse the chances of your candidate at the time. So what's changed now?
What has changed? The quantum of information we have. Your perception about a human being depends on the quantity, on the quantum of information you have about him. In 2016, the quantity of information we had made us to market our candidate then. In 2020, the quantum of information we have is making us to say he's not the right person for the job. That is clear enough, I guess. And so, as I said, the the former chairman of the APC is helping us. But apart from that, the governor has a support base. As we speak, it hovers between 75% and 80% of the electorates. And I challenge you, channels, to do an independent survey. So the people believe in him. The electorates believe. They made their decisions. And so what our opponents are trying to do is to get the state to be ungovernable, to get the state in a situation where INEC will think of postponing the elections. But I have good news for everyone. That will not happen. The people have made their decision, and they are going to vote for Governor Obaseki.
I'm sure you agree with me that demarketing the APC candidate is almost going to be as tedious as marketing your own candidate, because listening to you now, you have spent more time talking about how he's loved by the people. You have not brought out some details as to why he is loved, or what exactly, or how you plan to market your candidate, Governor Godwin Obaseki.
Oh, now if I start telling you what he has done this past 3.5 years, almost 4 years, we will spend the next 1 hour, 2 hours talking about it. But let me just tell you this: why the support base is as high as 70%, 75%, 80%. Number one, people can see the things, the infrastructure that is being embarked upon in Edo State. People can see that the pensioners, the civil servants, they get their salaries on the 26th of every month. People can see the judiciary being reformed. People can see those things that you want to see a government do for you. You can see the Soma power plant. You can see the refinery in Ologbo. These are things people can see. And as we speak, there are some 2,800 projects that this governor has done. Some of the projects were commissioned while he was campaigning in some of these SGAs recently. So there are things we can show the people that why we are different, why they should continue to vote and support this governor, unlike our opponents that don't have anything to show.
I think it's interesting that you reel out some of these achievements, because the governor's only been on your platform for a few months. I'd also like to draw your attention to 2017, after his Supreme Court victory. Your predecessor at the time, Dan Obi, did say when Governor Obaseki extended the olive branch to say, I will work with anyone, including the People's Democratic Party, despite the hassles. Your predecessor said, Mr. Obaseki, keep your appointments. You have nothing to offer. We don't want you. Basically say, you have nothing. We do not believe in you. Does your party now believe in the governor, and why?
Thank God you said 1 year after he was elected. 1 year after he was elected, clearly he couldn't have done anything that anybody would have believed in. You will agree with that? Because even if you were elected, if you were sworn in on the 11th of November 2016, you will have to get the budget passed and all that. So clearly you couldn't have done anything in the first 1 year. What the best you could have done was to have the vision and the plans you want to do. But as we speak, we've seen with our eyes that he has done a lot for this state. And we're not saying it because he's a candidate of our party. Look at the Edo Jobs Center on Sapele Road. I was there recently with members of my state working committee. And what I saw there was unbelievable. Look at the intelligent hub on New Era College of Education. It's unbelievable. You see innovation, young boys and girls doing things for themselves. So this is not about what happened, what my predecessor said then and what we are saying now. What he said then was right. What I'm saying now is right, because of the level of information that we have.
Very well, then let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll speak a little more to Mr. Anthony Aziegbemi, who is the chairman of PDP in Edo State, on some of the reasons why he believes that his party would win the Edo elections. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. My guest is the chairman of PDP in Edo State, Mr. Anthony Aziegbemi. Honorable, some have said that if Governor Godwin Obaseki wins this election, two things could possibly happen. He could go the way he did when he won under the platform of the APC, where he chose to focus more or to shut out party members and focus on the people, which is a good thing, at least to the average citizen of Edo State. Or two, he could return to the APC. Are you worried about that?
Not at all. Not at all. As a party, we expect him to use the state resources for the people. We don't expect him to give party leaders monies. That is not why he's been elected. That is not why he's been voted for. That is not why people are supporting him with this high level of support at 75–80%. So we expect him to keep to that level, and to keep to that level is to see people should see that he's using their monies for them. So as for his going back to the APC, that is his decision to make. We cannot stop that. And basically, as a party, we will think about that if that does happen. But as I speak, I don't want to hazard a guess. I'll be surprised if that happens. But if it happens, we'll take it in a stride and react appropriately.
Very well. Then I also can't help but notice that virtually all the campaigns you've had so far have been hinged on the former national chairman of the All Progressives Congress. Is he the fight? Are you taking the fight to him? Is it more about Mr. Oshomole in this case now? Because you've almost left. You really haven't mentioned the candidate of the All Progressives Congress much in your conversations or your campaigns.
He's not a factor at all. He's not on the ballot. We know that. We acknowledge that. But we cannot also not pay attention to what he said earlier about his own candidate now and what he said about our candidate then. So when you just oppose those two opinions from the same person, let the people decide. That's what we are doing.
But it seems like you've built your campaigns around him. I couldn't help but also notice that even the governor of Rivers State mentioned him, saying that this is more of a test of his integrity. This election is a test of his integrity. Are you worried that despite not being the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress anymore, that considering the level of support he gave to Governor Godwin Obaseki in 2016, which made him governor, he boasts of that, are you worried that he could win this election for the All Progressives Congress, regardless?
No. If you have an idea of what the people think about him, if you have an idea of
what do the people think about him?
If I tell you now, you might think, oh, he's the party chairman of the opposition party, of the PDP, of the ruling party. Of course, that's what you will say. I urge you to have.
No, I think that even he would like to know what the people think about him. I mean, you just said if we know what the people think about him, could you give us an insight at least into what the people think of him? I mean, he was governor in the state for 8 years.
The perception about him is not good at all. If I were the APC, I wouldn't take him as a poster boy. I wouldn't. The perception is so bad. They link him up with the exorbitant and arbitrary taxes on the markets, at the parks. They link him up with giving the states off for the towels around the place. They link him up with exorbitant contract prices on projects and all that. They link him up with a lot of negative things. So if I were the APC, I wouldn't take him up as a poster boy. I'm surprised they are doing that. But anyway, that's good enough for us. We hope they continue to take him, to use him as their poster boy.
But what do you think is fueling his confidence? Because he's still speaking about your candidate and how he's so sure that the All Progressives Congress will win this election. He goes on to say that he referred to your candidate as a man who is not even eligible to contest the election and says he's not a threat. He goes on to say, how can a snail, I beg your pardon, be a threat in a race where tigers are involved? What do you think is fueling his confidence?
We know the antecedents of the person you are talking about. I will hazard a guess where the confidence is coming from. The confidence is coming from the fact that the security agencies INEC could be compromised. And we've seen some traces of that already. Yesterday, the Commissioner of Police in Edo State received in audience the purported Speaker of the House of Assembly. The Director of SSS did the same. That is an aberration. There's a judgment of the High Court that says the Speaker of Edo State House of Assembly is Francis Okiye. We heard this morning that INEC is contemplating postponing the elections in Edo. So if you add up all these issues, you will see that the only hope, and that thirdly, the support base of our governor, of our candidate, is hovering between 75% and 80%. I said earlier, I challenge you to have an independent opinion poll yourself. Now, if you add all these things together, the only way they can even think of having a chance at all during the elections is to compromise the security agencies, which they have started, and compromise INEC.
With the kind of fears that you have expressed now concerning the security agencies, maybe the rest of the electorate in Edo State might have similar fears, I don't know, but considering that we've seen pockets of violence here and there, from normal rallies, even at the palace of the Oba of Benin, which is most unheard of, is what do we look forward to as far as this election is concerned? Do you have fears of violence during the elections?
Well, what happened at the Oba's palace was clearly the desecration of the sacred grounds of the Oba palace. We couldn't have been going to the Oba's palace with our governors visiting us, and we kind of contemplate that kind of thing. So clearly, it's from the APC. As a party, everybody knows in Edo State that PDP is a very peaceful party. Everybody knows that. Everybody accepts that. The violence that will emanate before, during, and after the elections can only emanate from the APC. And that is why we think that the security agencies should take this very seriously.
But some people would say that your party is also fueling this. I mean, your campaign at ESACO also suggested that you were inciting the people, if I may say so, because it was almost a campaign of calumny. You called the former governor all sorts of names. You attributed his time in office as governor to amounting to spending money to marry a wife from outside, and she's left him. Don't you think that's too strong to use for your campaigns?
I guess that that is a campaign ground. I'm sure you know that when you're on the campaign ground, certain things are allowed to go. That is what it is.
You think that's allowed to go?
He says worse things about people when he's on the campaign ground himself.
Do you want to go low when he goes low, or do you want to do better?
Well, we're trying to do better, but at times you're forced to dance with the mud, with the pigs when they are dancing in the mud.
So your reaction almost suggests that you're ready to go fire for fire, suggesting that if violence is required to win this election, your party is willing to go in that direction.
That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm telling you that clearly the APC is the party known for violence. That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you clearly that APC is the party known for abusive languages. So I'm saying that the PDP is known for peaceful conduct. So if on a campaign rally somebody says something you just mentioned, that is just one out of millions of times will come out on the campaign train. That doesn't depict in the main what we do.
Honorable Anthony Aziegbemi, Chairman of the PDP in Edo State, thank you so much for coming on Hard Copy. Well, that's the program tonight, but we want to hear from you, so do send us a message to hardcopy@channelstv.com or tweet at CTV And if you miss any of the episodes, do go to our website, channelstv.com, or listen to our podcasts on channelstv.com/podcasts. Once again, thank you so much for finding time to watch tonight. That's all the time we have. I am Terry Kumi. Good night.